And now, I think it looks like it's working. Anybody still here? Anybody still watching? What the hell had the brain fart of the thing? I think I'm going to have to create some other thing to test this out. Okay, Arno is still here. Very good, Arno. Thank you. Thank you for all of your help and support. Oh boy, you don't know how much it means, Arno. Someone as good as you out there helping with all these things. Okay, well. Live over there at Rumble. I think we're going to have to just. Well, thank you, Arno. You are very much part of the team here that keeps this thing going. I know it's just a bit of help that you give, but it does help. Okay. Right. Okay. I don't know what it is that caused the stream to go wrong. Hi, everyone. I know I privated the last two videos, but for some reason, it only seems to happen on the weekends, doesn't? That the stream just drops about like 60% of the frames. And right now and I've tried this, and I'm gonna. What I'm gonna have to do is set up with maybe quickly on Crisis Report logged in there or something, and do a test stream to see that it's working right. But it seems if I start and stop it a couple of times, I don't know. I just don't know what it is. It's infuriating. Okay. Let's send some reinforcements over to here. Send you to Warsaw. And you were going to send up to the border with the Soviets. This is what happened historically, particularly with the SS units, is that some of the Totenkopf Standarte were moved in as occupation troops for Poland. All right, well, okay. Well, Gamer's back. Okay. We're reasserting Western claims here. We're then going to get around Maginot here for 17 days after completing this. These will be bypassed. Yeah. I've definitely gotten reports from people. It definitely seems to the AI seems to want to reinvade the Low Countries and the French coast more, again, from some people's reports, more than German ports. But we do have some more of these occupation units coming very soon. Well, since we got a few days, let's get these units formed. We'll be able to send them west. Standard. Okay. We have to. We're going to be pop up. I'm going to start recording. Okay. It's the Polizei division here. Polizei, I don't know. Hey, Song. Good to have you back here. Yeah, I can understand that. It does get to be a bit of a resource hog. And hello, MMDB. Good to have you here. The Ritter SS. Like we can see. Okay, so it's just currently some SS cavalry. I don't know how much use they're going to be on the Western Front. Totenkopf. Now, like a lot, particularly at this time period, like a lot of the SS units, they had to find equipment not from the standard sources. So a lot of captured equipment was in Totenkopf for the invasion in France. Cool. Right. I'm looking for
Angetreten. Bereit. Bereit.
the reinforced Liebstandard regiment. Did it just change its OOP? Maybe is it still over here? Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Right. No, it didn't. It needs to be reattached to.
Angetreten.
Recepti trick here. We can see it's getting some of its equipment here. Medium assault guns. We don't have any assault guns. Wow, we don't have any assault guns. I heard Hoi 4 has mods like World Ablaze, right? Well, I don't recommend World Ablaze anymore. You can see some of my videos on it. There's a whole series, and you can look at the last video and my rants about it. This is Black Ice for Hearts of Iron 4, is what I'm playing now. Song. So, oh yes, lots of captured stuff. Oh, there was one thing that they did quite a bit of. Well, as you can probably imagine, there are warehouses full of uniforms in every nation. You know, uniforms, particularly then, were considered something of a durable good. Most of the uniforms were made out of wool. The jackets and the pants, they were expected to last multiple years. generally speaking, and I say this because I know it from a few nations, and I'm projecting onto others, that they often had cheaper cotton fatigues that they would wear doing the dirty work in peacetime and training, that kind of stuff. Whether it's literally, because often troops were used as laborers and whatnot. And so, and I've tried to collect a few pictures, digital ones, not necessarily originals, but of German troops before the war. They often wore white, I think, to make the soldiers clean them particularly well. White uniforms, and those are their drill or go get dirty uniforms. And so they were meant to last some time. Yes, they would wear out eventually, obviously, but they were meant to last longer. And nations would stockpile these uniforms. Well, Germany captures an immense amount of these. And when you're talking about Dutch, Belgian, French at this time, you're talking about different shades of green, basically. Now, the SS, for the most part, had, by 1940, had their own, like it is in the game here. They are getting some things right in this, a lot of things right, maybe I should say. Their own uniform productions, their own owned or contracted or both factories to make SS uniforms. So when they go into a lot of these other nations and capture, and they're not taking the uniforms off like the soldiers or the dead soldiers or the, at least as far as I know, or the captured soldiers. I'm talking like warehouses. You can imagine, whether it's in Paris or some other places, you're going to have warehouses with tens of thousands of uniforms ready to be handed out. They capture these things. And one of the things they do to a lot of them is dye them blue, because you can take a green uniform and dye it blue and it'll be blue. And this way they can be a uniform color, and they would then issue them out to a lot of collaborationist units. I'm trying to oh boy, I'm blanking on the name. A lot of the collaborationists in the East, and I'm thinking of the militarized police. I'm blanking on the name right now, that was used here. And so a lot of these people get, remainder Dutch and French uniforms that are now blue. The SS the SS, again around 1940, earlier than August, switches from black to gray. Now it's more of a slate gray compared to the green gray. They get all these uniforms wrong here, so wrong, but in their colorization attempts, so wrong. The Army is using a sort of a greenish gray. The SS use a sort of slate or very gray, a little bit lighter in color. You can see, and I know you're all interested in all this minutia, but the SS, before they become the Waffen SS, but when you can see the Leibstandarte SS Adolf Hitler and some of the Totenkopf units and the very early Verfolgungsgruppen type units training out in the field, their training was a slightly different gray uniform pre-war. So they are doing a pre-war field training in gray. But, I don't know why this needs field uniforms and SS field uniforms. I don't get this, but whatever. Now, once the war starts, the fashion trend is gray instead of black. So virtually all of the SS, even if you're not in a combat unit, you're in an office job in Berlin type guy, you're in a prisoner camp, shall we say, type guy, they change over to slate gray. This leaves large numbers of black uniforms sitting in warehouses because nobody wants them. Well, those eventually get issued out to the Norwegian and Dutch collaborationist SS units. That those two particularly wear black uniforms through to the end of the war. So they get used up. But mostly for the units, and particularly Dachau. Dachau is a, I'm trying to remember here, is definitely a concentration camp. I don't know if it becomes, and I know YouTube's going to gig me for this. I don't know if it becomes a death camp. I mean, people are dying there. Trust me, and they're murdering people there. I'm talking because Auschwitz in Poland, that and Sobibor, and I can't remember all of the others. Those are death factories, you know, where they have the gas chambers and they're killing millions of people. Okay. Dachau, and they're definitely killing people in Dachau. Don't make light of this. But I don't know if it's, and I'm sure they're starving people to death. I'm sure it's horrific. This is not, yes, this is black ice for, we'll get more. No, the Gestapo, all of the Gestapo, all of them move away from black uniforms to gray uniforms in around 1940. It takes a few months after the war to start to transition. By 1941, virtually, there's actually a thread on exceptions of people still wearing black. And I say they still, the tankers, whether you're Luftwaffe tanker, you're a Heers or Army tanker, or you're an SS tanker, you wear a black uniform. Sometimes they wear camouflage uniforms or whatever, but their official uniform is and it's the Panzer Wrap, because there is the Hermann Goering Division and some other Luftwaffe units that have tanks, and those guys wear black. Those guys are still wearing black. There are a few other people that do wear black, but it's more like they're reservists that get called up in the last days of the war. You know, oh boy, I'm blanking on another name. You know, all the reservists at the end called up. I forget. Sorry, not important now. But yeah, like in Hogan's Heroes, where you have the Gestapo running around in black in 1943 or whatever that's set in, that's incorrect. They had gone. Virtually every SS has gone over to slate gray. Treblinka sent yes. Yeah. So Dachau. Again, I'm not trying to candy coat it or make excuses for it or anything like this. I'm sure it's a terrible place. But Dachau is a huge complex, or rather large. Next to, or as sort of part of Dachau, sometime in the 30s, before the war starts, Himmler buys Alaric porcelain. It's a very old porcelain manufacturer of plates, but also porcelain figures and other things like that. He buys it as a commercial enterprise and moves it next to or as part of Dachau. and continues to make porcelain, high-quality porcelain, as a profit-making enterprise to help support the Waffen-SS. So part of Dachau is a production facility, and that's where some of the uniforms for the SS, whether Waffen-SS or camp guards or whatever, are being made with slave labor, because it is becomes a slave labor facility. But there's also other training facilities for the SS at Dachau. It's sort of a complex. We hear the name because it is sort of the main pre-war camp for the SS. So it gets that, and it does other things here. Hello, Gamer. Is that? I know we just said, okay, world ablaze, like you have loose and submarines not effective at all. Yes. Black ice can even simulate uniform production. Yes. Oh, well, this is one thing I'm looking at with this mod here, because it has changed a lot since while I was away. We have uniform production. We have horse cart transport production. We've got that. But also, more importantly for changes, is we now have steel as a production. You mine iron and coal on the map, and through factories, along with, also it's running power, and food is now in the game here, for steel production, for aluminum production. So bauxite, we can either mine or buy, trade for bauxite, produce it. Now you can also trade for aluminum or trade for steel as well. Synthetic fuel production, so that's coal and fuel. Synthetic rubber production, that's just going to be fuel. So we can up our factories there. So you have a lot more changed with, and up here we have percentage. We're using 81% of our possible fuel. We have 23%. I'm still a little mystified on all this, though. I hear bad things don't happen until you go to 0 of food, and you even have food decay. So even if you stockpile a huge amount of food up in 1938, by whatever time it's decaying, and you have techs that preserve food better at a percentage kind of thing. So there's a lot been changed with black ice. Hello, Juan Ma, how you doing? Presto radar is less necessary. Para and for every. Well, there are radars. I'm not entirely sure. I don't speak Spanish, so I'm not entirely sure of your question here. But we can, let's see, click over here to see our current limited radar coverage. The reason I have not put any on because it does take a while to build them. I'm planning on putting some radars along the coast, but I also want some internally. So we do have a few radars here, if that's what you're asking about. Yes, Son. I still want to play, and just various things in my life have, including not updating my mod, Third Reich Events for Hearts of Iron 3. I still want to play a couple of more series with Black Ice Hearts of Iron 3, not 4, 3. I still think it has a lot to offer. We've also, with generally going with, we can come to the supply mode here, we now have railroads and supply dumps. And so as you can, depending on how much rail connectivity there is from your capital, well, Berlin is over here, to a particular dump is how big the supply dump is. And then how many, and radiuses from that is how much it supplies. So these railroads and their controlling supply dumps become critical in the east. So there is a lot of changes that are finally, in my opinion, making this a serious contender for, look, people, the very earliest release of Hoi 4 was crap. Okay, it just was. But once you more or less get Hoi 4 kind of good, it is better than Hoi 3. But people were comparing it to things like Hoi 3 Black Ice, which I thought was better than Hoi 4 Standard. Now the Black Ice team is doing a lot of good stuff. I don't agree with 100% of it, but who's going to agree with 100% of anybody? That kind of thing. So, and yeah, well, we do have a limited levels of OOB. We have, I think, a badly done generic officer here in charge of a division that you can promote up and he can gain skill traits. I still think it's badly done. You can, like what I've done here for the Vergen's troop, he has a general here, Paul Hauser, command hierarchy of 1. It does have a second hierarchical level. So we sort of kind of have an OOB, not good, but sort of kind of thing. Lowest countries, on utilities, on 10, the majority, fabricated. Okay, yeah, I'm not quite exactly sure. Oh, well, bombing damage, if I'm getting, yes. You can, these can be hit with bomb damage. Let's take a quick look here. Let's come up. See here, for improved electrical grid 2, factory bomb vulnerability plus 3%. Energy for factories needed is 3% less. So if you research this, you're basically setting up a better electrical grid, but it's weaker to bomb damage for factories. So there is some accounting for bomb damage and the electrical grid, if that's what you're asking about, Juan. Yeah, my Spanish is not good. Not good at all. So we have that now. We do. So there, yeah. So just, but what really get started, because I'm not trying not to lose our original thing. The Waffen SS in the September 39 through basically this time historically, through to the end of the Battle of France, was a not a well equipped formation. It really wasn't. They had to find, for equipment mostly. They were not connected to the army supply chain. So when Germany takes over Austria, Austria has both the little Italian CV tankettes, armed with just little machine guns, and their own type of armored cars. I don't know what happens to the tankettes. I've never seen them used in German service until Italy quits the war, and it's normally auxiliary forces like Organization Todt or somebody using some of the really crappy Italian equipment. They might give them over to Hungary, because we know Hungary has some of those tankettes. But the Waffen SS uses the captured Austrian armored cars, which are different than the Germans. They're using a lot of their Mauser rifles are Czech Mauser rifles, which are of the same caliber but not parts compatible with the German ones. So there's a lot of scrambling for equipment for all the Waffen SS stuff. Now, by the time you're talking 42, particularly 1942, yes, you're getting tanks straight from the factory and weapons straight from the standard production factory. So you'll often see the SS using other submachine guns, again, Austrian manufacture, but so they're using a lot of that stuff. I'm going to update it so people might hate. Now it's right time to compare. Absolutely, Son. It is. Now is the time to compare it. And it is finally getting good. And it's not, it's multiple. And they were also comparing a mature Hoi 3. Though I really think they should have, there was plans that was scrapped to make one more major DLC for Hoi 3, but I don't know whether it was the production studio people or the suits in the higher office or whatever you want to say, that decided to push Hoi 4 out early, and they should have waited 2 years and did one more Hoi 3 DLC, which would have improved things, including adding a type of railroad, not as good as this railroad, but to Hoi 3, that would have been a better thing to do commercially, as well as with everybody. We can look here. Here. Okay, what are we? We just grabbed up, formed up a bunch of more transport trucks, a bunch of, and assault guns. Well, we need more trucks, but let's this here. Let's click here for models. Do I have an assault gun here? Okay, we already have the assault gun model clicked here. So we can make Stug 3s. So let's, close. This is what I want to, close that. Come here. We're going to put a production line of Stug 3s in production. We're going to make sure that we get past all of the steel in the ships so that we have enough going there. We're going to get more once we get the clock going. Yeah, I'm of the opinion, not, I mean, they still have, and I haven't looked at it in, quite honestly, over a year, Black Ice for Hearts of Iron 3, but I do believe it's getting to the limits of what they can do, and they've been very, very creative. I'm not trying to put down either what they're working on now or the creative team for Hearts of Iron, but it is getting to its limits. Okay, this is what we can research. In this research line, we just got Heinkel, those 111s. Okay, we want to have new flying boat, transport, better fighters, or next year's. We're going to do next year's fall. Get those being researched now. Okay, well, let me take a drink here, and then let's start making an episode of getting ready to go to war properly with France and the Low Countries. Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here. With my continued playthrough and look at Black Ice for Hearts of Iron 4 and their major changes in the economy and how well it's working and how to figure out what I should be doing. So, yeah, let's continue this. We will give it a moment for our various conversions and imports to become effect to see if we are still insufficient in steel. Okay, so we come here. Well, I'm going to still wait another. Make sure we get to the 6th. Okay, we need to. Oh, wait a minute. We don't need. Oh, no. We need there. Okay, so we have enough steel now. We got more than enough. Okay. We can have this number negative. Here. Okay. Let's go down. That's too much down. Okay. This or western. Well, let's go back up here. Okay. So, okay, we're getting there. Still need more factories to feed the never satiated needs of war. Okay, and we're going 17 days to get around Belgium. We just really don't have the trucks to motorize some of these divisions properly. Okay, Soviet oil deal. Okay, so we are currently getting near our capacity with oil, but one civilian factory hourly fuel gain. Yeah, we'll do this because what we can do is, since we're getting nearly full, yeah, we can come over here and we can slightly come down on the oil, which will free up that factory that we just got the fuel gain with. And still be looking good there. Okay, we're holding out. We got some reserves along the Maginot. Oh shit, they've actually... Oh. Okay, well... Okay, they busted through our west wall. Let's... I haven't been paying close enough attention here. I was trying to have two divisions and a garrison unit, not really a division, holding the wall, but between playing and talking and whatnot, not paying close enough attention, they did get through. But I don't think that's going to matter too much. Matters a bit, but we're going to push, we're going to just go around here. So as soon as we get that. The Italians are in a stalemate along their border. They jumped once they entered the Axis, then Hungary calls them into the war. And so they're holding out and actually pushing into Tunisia, and they're battling down here. All right. Give you the state of our war here. Now we're going to add more trucks to the proposal. More trucks, more motorization. Yeah, we're building. I think that getting production up and going is way slow, but that's just my opinion. How is the air war doing? Okay. We are holding our own over our own airspace, which is good for us. And not for the Italians. Okay, we have a lot of fighters, but most of them, well, okay, we have 30-some 109s that aren't being used at the moment. Well, let's create another fighter unit here with our better 109s. They will fill up here with a few older types. And close support aircraft. Okay, mostly older. Yeah, nothing really sort of modern. Heavy fighters, though, we are actually doing fairly well with those. So let's create a heavy fighter. Unit. Heavy fighters in this game are particularly useful for going after bombers. The heavy tank in production again, great through break. Look at this stat. Yeah, they're not bad, but well, we just don't have enough, in my opinion, production capabilities. You can come down to here. You guys come over to here. And you guys here. So we can see here we are getting a little problem with some of the supply there, but doing okay otherwise. And wartime steel industry, good. Research finished. And look out here, we took out a French convoy. They're still battling it out here. Subs versus a convoy. We got a British convoy. Oh, up here, let's see. Ooh, got a Canadian convoy. Looks like we lost 2 subs there, but overall we've been doing pretty good. Well, let's see. The cavalry division over there. These 3 will go here. These 2 will go here. And these 2 up there. I am not sure which is the 10th Panzer Division here. First Panzer. Here. This is tells me that it's an assault artillery gun situation here. It's showing this medium support tanks is for some reason they're using there's a lot of them in this unit compared to the other size. We can see that this right now this 10th Panzer Division is not particularly well balanced. But it has a bunch of medium tanks in it, and that to me is a assault gun, because the dot in the center means to me artillery, and I guess that's why they're considering support tanks, and obviously the oval around it means armor, and the single line means medium. Instead of a thick line would be heavy. Okay. So we got wartime steel factory, which I think, no, that's... was here? Here, wartime steel industry. Okay, factory, industry, whatever. Artillery production capacity per assembly plant, +1. Steel output, +1. And refinery, steel refinery build speed, +5%. So that, of course, is very useful. Synthetic fuel production. The coal input for synthetic fuel is lower. Research, excavation, fuel storage 2. Fuel storage. Okay, capacity. So if we want more fuel storage, we need to research this. 44 days. We'll do that. Hey, Starstreak, 7 a.m. Well, good morning. It's 10 a.m. for me, and it's 7 a.m. there. So we sort of, not real heavy tanks, but we sort of kind of have heavy tanks there. With to support the tanks. We are still waiting for this to complete. And we're not going to bother to try to retake their railway network. Because we're just going to go busting around. Okay, so we've got this one here, which railway construction speed up 4% and efficiency retention higher. Okay, max entrenchment, land force coastal. Yeah, that's nice. All these are nice. We need to get all of these things, I think. Ship workshops, shipyard. Okay, yeah, we're going to do this. Military production. 5%, but it's base stability down. But we've done several things to improve our base stability. I don't know if we can see... You can see all the things that are affecting it. And do the math, but I don't want to do that right now. And Italian police have showed up in Germany. Oh, that's good. Just what we need. We needed Italian police in Germany. Here, up. Okay, around. War with all these. Right. Okay, so we are... now at war with everybody. Yay. Had you slightly closer to the front when the war broke out, but oh well. Bad planning. That's my fault. It's all my fault. Okay. Well, we were sort of on the front for there, but we should have had that ready to go to Luxembourg. You head up to oh, can't you go? Wait. You're, okay. Okay, I thought we touched right there. Well, never mind. That means everybody just sort of goes here. Yay. That way. You all join the Allies, of course. Pressure towards Benelux. All right. Fall Gelb, or a bad proximity of it, or approximation, I should say, has begun. Now, you guys charge, get on your horses and go. Yeah, let's go that way. You go here. You go that way, and you support that attack. Okay, Grand Duchy is capitulated about the time it gets called into the action by the Allies, and we get 108 carabiners. Okay, well, fun times. You're pushing faster than I thought. You would be. That armor, well, very good. So we can deal with techs here. Okay. It's not. 400 days is too much, Arno. I know you'd want a tiger, but we will in time. We will in time. Okay. Okay, 59 days, we can do that. Now, do we want to... Okay, commercial agreement. Operation Westerborn, we're not ready to go north yet. Well, expansion. Okay, 14 days. We'll worry about expanding the evil guys even more. my god, it's down through there. No, 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 no. Where to come with that? Oh, no. Okay. You guys. Come this way. Aye. Bad clicking. Okay. Guys, start heading that way. What do you talk on Amsterdam? Hey, these guys are really moving fast, so we're gonna... One of you is gonna come to here. That's a sedan. One of you is gonna come this way. The other one's gonna go that way. These guys go here. These guys are coming and catching up. These guys are gonna attack south to Metz to hold forces there. These guys are going to move forward. Yeah, well, we'll see about something else soon to get him. Oh, you come south, you come west. Oh, why are you still back here? I don't know. No, you just come. And you guys support the attack north. We are pushing very deep in, very fast, and I'm worried about getting cut off. So we're going to get a little bit of a pause while we push. No, we're not selling any food. These guys are going to attack south again, just as a spoiling attack, to delay any movement. Alright, so first three divisions here are going to move straight south to pin those forces. Three are going to move west up there. The others are going to come down south that way. These are going to go that way. Let's go south here first. You attack there, you guys attack across the straits. You guys can start moving west. Now we have, I think, yes, just got in a bunch of garrison forces, which we're going to start putting on trains and move this way to guard our ports. And some more infantry divisions here also to help along there. Okay, so attack that way, or support. You guys attack into there, you guys come to there. Visions here. That. short periods of time we can deal without railroads, but we can see here we need to capture up into Brussels to be able to properly supply down into here. So that is very much it. Hello, Kronos. Will you use Dorito planes someday? Are you thinking of the Horton fighters and bombers? Well, maybe. I don't know if we're going to get that far in this game, but... Okay. I get a bunch more Waffen-SS people, units, things. I think we will do more fuel storage because we may get to where we're actually. Okay, the Netherlands. Well, Italy has declared war on Greece. Yay. We'll see how well that goes. And the Dutch have collapsed. Now this is about as hard as it was in real World War II. Why? Couldn't you? Come on, people. I mean, this is only a half-hearted rant because it's only half-hearted, but because that's my feeling on this. Why the hell did this happen? Yes, this may be the right historical date. But even then, I'm not sure. I think it was around now. The British lost... Well, we lost an airplane. Italy lost a transport ship, and Britain lost a light cruiser. Couldn't you... We lost a plane there. We lost 2 planes there. No, they lost 6 convoys. Couldn't you put a simple check that says, has France surrendered or not? Or who controls Paris, Nantes, Bordeaux, something like that, before you can do the national focus or have an event that Greece shows up. That is bad game design, bad modding, people. That this is just because dates are fine. Dates have, and you can still put, after a particular date, on this date or later, do this thing. But the only real reason Mussolini goes after Greece. Now, he's long wanted Greece because he wants to rebuild the Roman Empire. But he's having trouble in North Africa. Now, this is a very interesting thing, and we can maybe see some of this coming in the near future, or currently with... Why do I make these series? Well, hello, everyone. Of course, I know I said hello, but of course, this is Gamer1745. And if you're interested in wargaming, history topics, and me blathering on about conditions in the world, you should subscribe. and watch the videos. I am trying to bring you lessons from history. Yes, they also include historical lessons, facts about the past. But trying to educate people, that's the mission. I have fun hanging out with people. I have fun chatting with you guys. I have fun making the videos. But trust me, I don't do this for the money. I don't do this for the money. I don't do this for the fame. No one knows who I am. But I'm trying to teach people from historical lessons. And we see this repeatedly. And I find it strange. And it may come down to the maxim that to a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. Okay? And the idea, if all you have is a hammer as a tool, well, you're going to hammer on things. Okay? You're going to bash it to make it fit instead of cut it or something, So we can see this repeatedly. Italy is not doing well in North Africa, right? Historically speaking. It's not. It's at best, it depends on when we're talking about, it's at best doing a fighting retreat in Ethiopia, but it knows it can't hold on forever, because although they set up, I think, a sort of makeshift air base out here to fly down, refuel, and then fly, because this is an immense distance, people, fly across Sudan. And they're actually continuing an air bridge that are, when the aircraft come back, they fly out some wounded Italians. They're flying in maybe some specialists, flying in some specialist equipment. I don't know what it might be, but, things that they desperately need, but, spare parts for radios or whatever, But in no way can they logistically continue to support this formation down here. So I think there's enough local food produced that there's no real worry about starvation for Italian units down here. But ammunition, replacement, anything hard, of any scale, damaged, whatever, tanks, artillery, plane. Well, to some degree you can fly some in, but some of the shorter range stuff can't even do a one-way trip down here. Fuel, there's no fuel factories down here. So this can only hold out for a limited amount of time. You can only make it so painful for the attackers to just delay it for some time. So what should Italy do? Well, yeah, before any war breaks out, have a lot of supply depots. Now, militarily, once they go to war, they should have a plan to take the Suez. And then that would link, supply chain up. And so, but Italy's not doing well in North Africa. Now, the reality, and this is what we see with the Germans and the Italians fighting in North Africa, and you also see it with the Western allies too, is you get diminishing returns. This is more correct compared to some other games here. Not that there's just Egyptian forces here. Egypt, back here they the oasis Siwa, do they have a garrison that does sort of engage enemy units that make it to it? But the Egyptian army basically disappears from any fighting. It's equipped with World War I light and heavy equipment, literally, not just those models. They're British units out here, but both sides have trouble putting more units here. the British, actually don't really have a rail link out here, but they do have a pipeline. So this is sort of simulating the pipeline. They actually make a pipeline to get, or a couple of pipelines, I think. One for water maybe, and definitely a fuel pipeline is built into the desert to keep forces supplied. So both sides are having trouble. The British are doing pretty damn well in the air and the sea. They're sinking a lot of the forces. So even if you bring in a few more divisions, the Italians know that there just may be more problems than good, because they don't have enough food, let alone ammunition and other things. So what do you do when you're losing one war, and they are losing the war in the desert? What do? Start another one. Now, we could argue that this is good strategic planning, because if you get Greece, now Greece is neutral at the time. Greece is actually wanting to join the Axis, or at least some of the leaders are. I don't know if the people are, but the leaders are. But Mussolini is sort of saying no, because Mussolini wants the territory. Hitler really doesn't care and doesn't think it matters. So so this is sort of all neutral in here. But you can see that, oh, hey, if you put air bases here, well, they can, go after ships, submarines, whatnot, down here. So, and also flying in supplies, or having Italian ships coming along the coast, protected by friendly air power, going in and out of friendly controlled ports, and then making, a supply run to here instead of a supply run from, up here in Naples all the way down to Tobruk. You can see how, and with Malta as a, thorn in your side, this looks good strategic planning. You can say this is good strategic planning, gamer. You should, respect it. Bullshit. There is no strategic plan. Absolutely none. I forget who it was. Maybe it was Eisenhower or somebody like that. Says plans are useless, but planning is essential. Because when you plan something, we're going to send this division, charging across here. You plan it out. Not just send it, but you plan. Okay, well, what do you need? Well, we need this much fuel. Well, do we have the fuel? You're going to be past the railhead. Do we have trucks to move the extra ammunition forward, further forward? And, you plan all these things out, and you plan, who's going to give you air cover? Oh, it's going to be these squadrons. Okay, that's good. As opposed to those squadrons doing something else. Who's going to be your CAS? What units? So you plan all this stuff out, and then when the plans, well, they're almost useless when you really get going. They're not entirely, but they're somewhat. But you've sort of planned what you're going to do, and then you adjust as you go along, once the action starts. Right. Well, there's no planning for this. When this goes off, it is, I believe, like in September, when harvest season is. And not only are a lot of Italian soldiers in and around Albania harvesting food, a bunch had gone back to Italy to harvest food. So you had the units here at, let's just throw out a number, 60% strength, because 40% of the soldiers are out harvesting food to keep, because it's sort of a short window, lots of labor needed. You can have your soldiers go do that. And so if you were doing strategic planning, not just like, oh, hey, this is a good idea, let's go do it, but planning, you would go, oh, okay, well, what do we need to do to go after Italy? Go after Greece here, as Italy. You might think coming over these mountains that have we can look here. There's no railway infrastructure. Basically, these are barbarous mountains. I could say something radical like, there's no roads. Well, yeah, but they're sort of mountain trails, dirt tracks that trucks can drive along, sorta, kinda. They exist. Okay, they do. But there are, and we're not even talking no highways. We're talking no developed single path proper roads. Yeah, there's a few, a few tracks, a few trails. But to move large amounts of supplies, large amounts of units across here, there's basically nothing. And even if there is one per province here, okay, but how easy it is to find, through mountains, a valley where the road goes through to snipe on it, it's super easy to hold. So even if I'm overstating, and trust me, hello Beam Slam, trust me, I know I'm getting my facts wrong. This is commentary. This isn't detailed historical historical facts here. Get a proper documentary if you wanted that, or read a book if you want that. But I know I'm generally right, because still to this day, there's very limited infrastructure along here. Okay, there is some, but it's still very, very limited. So if you're planning this, I'm sort of remarkably surprised that they actually have 2 mountain divisions in the mountains. I mean, that's so rare in this game. Often you see mountain divisions out in the plains, and you see armored divisions sitting in the mountains. But hey, that's good for them. Probably an accident, but who knows. You might think about a naval invasion. Italy's most advanced developed branch of service is the Navy. It's not the most advanced out there. It's just for the Italian services, it's the most advanced. And yes, I know Mussolini doesn't want to lose it, but using it along the coast here in Italy with a lot of air cover and whatnot, so you can probably come in along here, and if you do have strategic and maybe tactical surprise, you can probably land considerable forces even along. There's a lot of minor fishing ports here that you can land, and you could supply a division or two. You can probably come down into the Peloponnese down here and land where, Peloponnese Naval Base 2, land down here and secure this. And that, even if this, because this is the Corinth Canal through here, even, which does turn this technically into an island. Okay, you're not maybe going to branch out, but it does create another front. It's supplyable, and it turns the flank, okay, of the Greek, because there is the sort of Metaxas line up here. It's more along here, I believe, because we're more worried about Bulgarian and Yugoslav attacks. So you would plan these things out. You would not have your divisions down at partial strength. You would move in a few more divisions. And the idea is Mussolini at this point, after France's fall, has a pretty big army. It cannot effectively supply more troops of any sizable amount down in North Africa, but it could use its army and its air force. Again, supply is an issue here closer at home, and this looks like a juicy target. So you would plan these things out. They don't. He also is also done as a surprise to the Germans. The Germans get word that that the Italians are at war with the Greeks after the battle starts, because Mussolini feels that he is. In 1933, Italy has a stronger navy, stronger air force, and stronger army than Germany. In 1933, 1934, maybe even into 1935, Italy is seen as the much more powerful, especially militarily, of what is going to become the Axis powers, and Hitler is sort of sucking up to Italy. Now, of course, even in 1933, industrially, Germany is much, much stronger than Italy. But, so in the sort of dictators of Europe, Mussolini is sort of the cool older one that's, and Hitler's the newbie. And so with Germany taking out France, Mussolini has a personality, inferiority complex, and he wants to prove that Italy is great, and he proves that Italy sucks in his attempt. But so the war is not doing well. Let's start another war because we think we can win this one. Now, this isn't isolated. World War II. Japan just cannot defeat China. It just can't. Yes, in war games in this way, there is sort of kind of a way to do it. I could argue just because if you can do it, the game is broken. And the reason I say Japan cannot defeat China the problem comes down to is, yeah, warfare is again, what are some of my maxims? Warfare is a political act. Politics is perception. Okay, that is true. But China, the Chinese mentality, the Chinese view of themselves as the Middle Kingdom, as the superior, not just in Asia, but the superior culture, race, whatever, and the rest are just barbarians of one level or another. And yeah, they've been conquered by the Mongols for a while. The Ming, the Manchurian Ming dynasty has come down, but in a way, China sort of conquers the Ming dynasty or whatever by turning it more Chinese, and they do that with the Mongols. By the time you're getting into the middle of the 20th century, they're not going to really go for a Japanese overlord too much. And Japan just does not have a big enough population to populate the army to occupy all of China. Now, there are probably, historically, about 100,000. Let that number sink in. 100,000 or more. I've seen figures, and it could be probably higher than that. Chinese that take up service in this reform government of the Republic of China, as soldiers. Now, most of them I would describe as armed guards, guarding factories, guarding bridges, guarding supply depots, doing policing actions in cities. They're not there to die for Japan. They're not there to die for this new republic that may or may not stick around for a while. It's more, to use a Chinese saying, it's to fill their rice bowl. It's a job, and it's better to be the guy with a gun than the person without a gun. And so, yeah, it's not really enough. There might be, because I know there are a few up in Manchukuo, a few good units, motivated, ready for combat units. There might be a few of those units existing, but for the most part, they're just like, armed security guards. Now, Japan, I would say more or less, if it organizes up its military force, it can go wherever it really wants to in China. It can hold enough of the rail links. It can hold enough, because there's also a lot of supply along rivers, hold enough to move a sizable enough army and take wherever. But to do so, and to hold its supply lines, it would have to pull units out of other areas. So if it really wants to hold a bunch of different areas, well, then it can't go anywhere it wants to, because it's trying to hold everywhere. So that's sort of the paradox. Yes, paradox. Hey, folk. Japan intended to work out some sort of understanding with China, but the negotiations. Okay, well, see, now you're absolutely right. there, folk. Japan is new to the world. You really have to realize this, because how old is Japan? Ancient, yes, it is. But how how old is Japan's real interaction with the world? What, about 1850 or so? When what is it, Commodore Perry at the time, or Admiral Perry, or whoever, shows up with the American ships and goes, knock knock, we want to trade. We have a fleet here, you better trade with us. And yeah, sure, to some degree they see all those big cannons and they're a bit frightened, but more they're going, oh shit. You know, the people are going, oh shit. It's not that they're worried about those cannons blasting them to pieces. They could, of course. No, they're going, oh shit. Aliens in flying ships, in flying saucers just landed here. We're behind. And really, there is a psychological change that happens in Japan that wants to, at least technologically, and there's also different pushes sociologically to modernize. Not, which is somewhat westernized, but not to become, you know, Englishmen or Americans, but pick and choose elements of culture. But so, yeah, so Japan in the world is, you know, 1850. So, you know, it's not that old. Where, yeah, the unification of Italy, unification of Germany, it's maybe newer. But the German states, you know, the Prussian states, the various kingdoms in Italy, they've been dealing with the world forever. Japan has been very isolated. Japan has had very little contact with the outside world. It's had 2 Mongol invasions that it fought off. Before that, it's done some sort of coastal raiding in Korea and whatnot at different times. But it's very isolated. It's more been a very, very inward-looking society. And that's as much saying anything about Japan as about its neighbors, because its neighbors, no one cared enough to invade. You know, we can talk about China, and China is in also ways not that much in touch with the world. I mean, there are on its borders. So unlike Japan, yeah, on its borders with Mongols and mountain tribes and it's definitely been doing that. But they don't try to go with it to sea. The Koreans, the Chinese, the Vietnamese, whoever, they're not a sea conquering peoples. There's very little organized sea conquering, even down here where there's lots of raiding in different principalities or whatever you want to call them going on down in these parts that are semi-civilized, we'll say. You know, no one cares enough to come in and mess with the Japanese. So Japan has had very little interaction. It's had one big war. It sees it with Russia, and it's had sort of interventions alongside other Western powers into China. And so because of this, you know, past is prologue or history repeats itself or however. So Japan gobbles up Korea and then gets that organized, and gobbles up Taiwan, which is not really part of, it's never part of the republics of China, and it's gobbled up by Japan before Sun Yat-sen does his revolution. And even under the imperial systems in China, my understanding is, at best, it's semi-controlled. It's almost sort of like a pirate state off the coast of China, Taiwan, Formosa, whatever you want to call it. Japan gobbles these up, and then gobbles up Manchuria. It thinks it's going to have another. It wants to have another gobbling up. It wants to grab up some territory, and then, as folk is alluding to, negotiate a ceasefire, a settlement, of whatever. You know, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's what it wants to do. It wants to create puppet states that are Japanese controlled, with sort of like the other Western allies, because they were allies up to a point with going after China. Japan was, you know, because they got this actually in taking it from the Russians. This had been a Russian outpost here. they may want some direct controlled bits and pieces, but mostly it was going to be puppet states, I believe. And Chiang Kai-shek doesn't fear the conquest of Japan. So he refuses to negotiate and give up territory. He might not privately, he might not demand back Manchuria, but publicly he does. So the negotiations don't go anywhere. So Japan is fighting a war it can't win. Now, it also can't lose in the sense of being conquered by China. At worst, you could have is a collapse of the current Japanese government, whether that means the emperor or simply, the prime minister and whatnot, and withdrawing from the mainland, or maybe keeping Korea, but keeping some of the islands, and and a new Japanese government forms. There's going to be no Chinese conquest of Japan. That is also another practical impossibility, just because China doesn't have enough ability to build ships. And if you start, even if they take back some of the coast, Japan has the ability to bomb the shipyard building facilities. So there's no real way that they're going to take it back. So you might be able to lose the war on the continent, but you can't lose, be conquered. So it can't win that war. So what does it do? Well, it's being limited by its economy, Japan's economy, and which all the nations are being limited out there. But it's also its lack of steel, and it's trying to produce as much steel as it can, mainly in Manchuria. Its lack of steel, and particularly its lack of oil, that pushed by multiple powers, and as Shanghai in 1940 is still owned sort of by the British. The French are still sort of kind of there. The Americans in the international zone have a garrison, and obviously Hong Kong and Macau are still owned, and these other territories are still owned, and particularly Shanghai and like Hong Kong. Macau is never taken over because Portugal remains neutral. So there's still, the British are still trading into, occupied China through Shanghai until the very end. Okay. Hello, Loto Chow. How you doing? I do not read. Well, non-com. Sorry, pardon. I do not speak French either. I hope, maybe this will be translated at some point. I don't know. Okay, Kronos, yes, the Horton, the plane, which could have changed history if it was a bit earlier. I don't know if it would have, changed history. I don't think changed the final outcome, but might delay it. So Japan can't win the one war, and its main limiting factors are becoming fuel and steel. America is refusing to sell steel to it, and America is refusing to sell oil to Japan, and the British and their now puppet state, the Dutch, because the Dutch are still administering the Dutch East Indies, but functionally once, this happens, meaning the Dutch at home surrender, they functionally become a British puppet state. They also refuse to sell oil to China. To Japan, because of China. Sorry, I'm getting this mixed up a bit here. And so Japan thinks, again, past his prologue, well, hey, we had this war with Russia. It was sort of stalemated. Russia sent the fleet around the globe, and we sunk it right here. They need to break the siege of up here at Vladivostok, particularly. And we sunk it in the Straits of Tsushima. Well, if we go to war with America, we'll sink their fleet at sea, and then because then once the Russian fleet was sunk, then the Russians negotiated a peace settlement. we'll negotiate a peace settlement with America, and sure, we'll grab up the Philippines. They probably would have given the Philippines back to the United States as part of the peace. I bet you they probably would have wanted to keep a few of the colonies down here. But the main thing would be sell us steel, let us, keep some of the oil production facilities down here, and we'll give you peace, and let us continue our disastrous war in China. And so you can't win one war, so you start a new one. Now, this isn't just, okay, translates for you. I'll see the French, we're no laughing matter, you're in trouble, cutie pie. Okay, well, thank you for the translation. Yes. Recently knew the third Meinstein masterminded it still can do some stuff after so. Oh, yes. Oh, the Germans weren't beat until they were actually beat, fully and completely beat. And von Manstein is one of my three top generals for Germany. And in no particular order, Guderian, Manstein, and Rommel are my three top generals for the Germans. Incredible generals, all of them. Now, if you think this is just the Italians and the Japanese, that you can't win one war, so you start another one. Well, Hitler can't win a war. He can't defeat the British. He is pumping out as many submarines, as many long-range, the Condors and other anti-shipping aircraft as he can. He's pumping out as many bombers and as many fighters as he can. He can't bomb the British into submission. Once the war for Greece is over, he sends Rommel down, first to Tobruk, with the intention of just sort of creating a fortress area here. But Rommel pushes back and almost, is victorious. Big problem. They should have organized Rommel to be victorious from the beginning, and they very well might have taken Egypt. But Rommel is only given, it starts out as the Africa Corps. Once the war is lost in North Africa, he gets an army. Once, because, they have the Battle of El Alamein, once it's lost, then they create Panzer Army Africa, meaning it's more than one corps. And it's there. So once they lose, then they put in the effort. Well, they should have put in the effort at the start for the Germans. But he can't win against the British. So what does Hitler do? Starts a war with the Soviets. Okay. Now, this isn't just in World War II that this happens repeatedly. Napoleon can't defeat the British. He can defeat the Prussians several times, the Austrians several times. He can't, because he goes to war stupidly with Spain, who had been his ally. The British had been fighting against both the Spanish and the French, and including an army in Portugal. But then he goes to war with Spain, but he can't win that war. He can't in 1805 he tries to invade England. He has the Grande Armée sitting here in Calais, and then do the whole sail back and forth across the Atlantic and whatnot. And Nelson sinks at the Battle of Trafalgar, right off here, sinks the combined Spanish and French fleets. And so, yeah. Is that 1805? Yeah, I think so. And then he goes in a bit later than that. But he goes and declares a war against Russia. And you all know, goes to Moscow and finds a burning city. So, this happens when you can't defeat one enemy. You go and you have an army, or a navy in Japan's case, And you start a new war to see if you can win that war that will somehow do this. This is stupid, people. This is stupid. If you can't win the war you're fighting, don't start another war. I'm looking at you, America. You haven't been able to win the whatever is going on in Syria and Iraq. You still got effing troops there. I mean, it's one thing to say, oh, we have the U.S. Embassy and we don't trust any of the locals to defend it. So, we have 1,000, 2,000, I don't know, soldiers hanging out in the green zone or something like that. Though at some point you become an island in a sea of enemies. And sure, yeah, the Kurds are cool. I like the Kurds. I know some people think we shouldn't be supporting the Kurds, but the Kurds, how do I put this? And I'm not talking so much the Kurds over here. I'm talking the Kurds in Iraq. It's good to find an ally who has some affinity towards you, cultural affinity, not just whatever, but also is dependent upon you. And you can support them. That doesn't mean you need to put in troops and start another war. That means you can give them weapons, sort of like we're doing in Ukraine. We should not send U.S. forces into Ukraine. So it's cool that we may, and I think we should have, when we had more control in Iraq, actually set up a Kurdistan. I know that pisses off the Turks, but the Turks are trying to rebuild, and they're coming up with local elections that may or may not hobble the attempt, but trying to rebuild an Ottoman Empire, a neo-Turkish empire. And it's very much trying to look very Islamic. The reason you brought Turkey into NATO was as a counterbalance to the Soviet Union, and the main establishment element in the Turkish government was the army, and it was Ataturk's secular army, and not an Islamic religious army. So because it's becoming more Islamicist and expansionist, they need to be gotten out of NATO. I know they still think they sort of can pull some strings, and they have gotten Turkey to approve, even though there's periodic Koran burnings up in Sweden to approve Sweden coming into NATO and whatnot. And it's sort of trying to keep them out of the pro-Russian alliance, but Turkey and Russia are not natural enemies. And if Turkey's going to be expansionistic and Russia wants to have its allies in Syria and other places, they're going to come into conflict with Turkey anyway. So no, you don't have to really worry about a Turkish-Russian alliance of any real depth. Surface alliances, sure, but real depth, no, that's silly. The U.S. State Department for being around is stupid and silly. I'm sorry. I could be a better Minister of State or Secretary of State for the U.S. than about anyone has ever had, at least in the 20th century. So these international people, I'm just laughing at our State Department. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They haven't known what the fuck they're doing ever. They're just incredible. I mean, my God. My God. So yeah. What is Napoleon pressured the peace terms to push so that they wanted an opportunity to go to war with? Yes, they did. With going over there. Hello, Calogero Nostra. How you doing? Hope I got that right. So just because you can't win this sandbox war, they're starting another sandbox war. over on my other channel, my other YouTube channel, Crisis Report, and I did find that there's even another. Even though I did search before, I couldn't find him. YouTube has very bad. I wouldn't have called it that, but I got a Crisis Report channel there too. There's two channels called Crisis Report. There's the other one is slightly older than mine, but not terribly much older. Talking about why the Houthis are shooting missiles at our ships and whatnot, but there's more reason to it than they're telling you. But so yeah, governments have a tendency that if you can't win a particular war, start a new one, that somehow that will change the situation in your favor. Solve the conflict that you're in before you start a new one. Gain, a ceasefire, a peace, a truce, or whatever that's significant before you start a new one. And of course, sometimes people will just attack you, Italy will just attack Greece. So what can Greece do? China is fighting a civil war with, we can call it a civil war. The Republic of China is fighting the People's Republic, or whatever you want to call the communist Maoist state here. And then Japan attacks. So sometimes, you're fighting one war that you may not be able to, you may not be able to win it because of various factors, and somebody else attacks you. It's not always a choice, but we can see repeatedly governments doing this. And it's because the government has a hammer and it's trying to cut some wood and it's not working, but they see what looks to be nails over there, and so let's go nails on it. So yeah. All right. Well, we're going to end not the live stream, but the episode now. So thank you, everyone. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron and laughing at the U.S. State Department, I hope. Okay, let's make a save here, and then we will continue our playing here. Okay. Multiple dilemma doctrine. Hey, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I don't know if I hadn't heard that term before, and that's because that is, one of the reasons it keeps me going with this channel. I know very few influential people ever watch my channel, but it's just remarkable. It's these governments are repeating lessons over and over and over. And it just keeps happening. So I don't know. I know I just said I could be a better Secretary of State than any since, the 20th century here for the United States. So I must think I'm smarter than the other Secretaries of State. And I don't. I don't think I'm any smarter. What I think it is I know and understand history. And in doing so, I, see different solutions to things. The U.S. is is trying to stay away from direct war with Iran right now, but allies of Iran, whether I know because of the Iranian spy ship that was sitting off here, and using of Iranian relatively high tech for Iran weapons to shoot at ships out here. I know Iran is supporting the attack on international shipping, including direct attacks on U.S. ships, including U.S. naval vessels. And they're using proxies. Now, I don't know about the attack on the sort of Syrian Jordanian border that wounded a bunch and killed 3, I think it was, American soldiers. Whether that was, poked by Iran or just simply local factions that get weapons and money from Iran just decided to do some shit because they wanted to do some shit. I don't know. Not everything is orchestrated by the Illuminati or the Council for Economic Control or whatever the hell or various other, shadowy groups that supposedly control the world. Sometimes just shit happens. Okay, we know this, or we should know this. And so should the U.S. shoot back because they're being shot at? Absolutely. You don't just, 1 or 2 barrages to sort of show like, yeah, you're not sinking any of our ships. Stop messing around. Okay, we could let that go. But if you keep doing it time after time, day after day, you just keep this up, well, eventually you're going to get a response. Okay, that's got to happen. I'm not suggesting it won't. Or shouldn't, a response. But you get people like Senator Lindsey Graham, who is still a senator, is like, we ought to bomb Iran now. Go after Iran now. It's time to strike hard. Now, see, this is an interesting dilemma. And I don't know how much of... Well, you should all be interested because this could spin into World War III. World War III may not be two big factions against each other. It may be, 100 wars going on all over the place. So you should be worried about what I'm having to say here. In the Cold War, it was to a point a binary choice, and international communism was being spread. Now, of course, international communism is being spread by America, so yeah, you might want to fight America. I can see that. But, and I'm not really joking about that. And so I would have, in the Cold War, I would be agreeing with Lindsey Graham in that wherever there's conflict, meaning whether it's a local, urban guerrillas, sort of terrorist urban guerrillas, or some people out in the jungle or the desert, the communists were going to find a side that would sort of, at least in name, support them and give them aid. The Soviets or the Chinese, they were going to give whatever aid anywhere in the world, anywhere on the planet. So if it's, out in the deserts of Oman, there was sort of a breakaway area. The communists somehow got them some arms. So the British were sending some pseudo-mercenary British officers to train up Omanis to fight these people. So wherever there was a conflict, the Soviets primarily, but also the communist Chinese, would get involved in the fighting. So every single conflict on the planet becomes part of the Cold War. Okay? So they... Well, Beamslam, if you want to find out about what's going on with Iran, go check out, maybe after this live stream, over on I think you have links to my Crisis Report channel. And I analyze why Iran is doing what it's doing now with the shipping attacks and whatnot. I don't want to derail this too much right now and go into that. It's just 16 minutes long. I think it's good analysis. But so every little conflict anywhere in the world becomes part of the Cold War. Yes, it's on YouTube. I know I did Google, somebody else Googled around and found another YouTube channel called Crisis Report, but I think you can find a link on the Discord server to it, maybe, if you want to the latest video, and which is on there. But I do take a look at why it's happening there. I think my analysis is entirely correct. And then also talk about some actual facts that are going on, but then analyze why it's happening and the way it is happening. So in that sense, so when you're having the Cold War, yes, every little conflict out there, the U.S. needed to be involved in. Didn't need to send troops to, but send weapons to the other side, whichever side that was going to support us. Okay, so in that context of the Cold War, I would agree with Lindsey Graham. We got to, bomb some people, because the people that we're going to bomb are, supporting of the other side in the Cold War. But now that the Cold War is gone, we don't need to bomb everyone. But where he might actually be right, and I truly do believe this, listen to what people say, including me, but particularly people in governments. They're telling you what they want to do. Now, there are people in mosques in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if they're doing it literally today, but over the last 30 years have been, railing, death to America. Now, it's not necessarily coming out of the kingdom, the royal government, but there are people in mosques that shout death to America. There are people in Houthi-controlled, basically North Yemen, death to America. Iran says death to America. And they also mean death to Europe, too, if you're thinking you're going to get off somehow from this. Believe them when they say this, okay? Believe them. And it is only the lack of ability that keeps you safe. It is not somehow negotiated, somehow they really don't mean it. It's just to gin up popularity with the people, blah, blah. No, they mean it, okay? Hitler meant what he said. Believe in what they say. So I believe the Iranian mullahs are a religious government that believes in the Islamic end times, and they like to bring it out. Everybody die on the planet as Allah wants them to in the end times, or whatever the thing is. I believe them. Okay. Fact one. Fact two, I think it's rather readily apparent that Iran's nuclear ambitions are not just to have civilian nuclear power plants, but to actually build nuclear bombs. Like India has built bombs, like Pakistan have built bombs. So, if Iran gets nuclear weapons, why do you think they wouldn't use them? Because for whatever you want to say about communists, they're rational. They really are. Okay? They're not like we all want to die in flames for the glory of God. Okay? They want to perpetuate the communist state, the communist ideal, sure. And that maybe twists their minds, but they want to do this. So you have a Islamic revolution, they actually call it an Islamic revolutionary government, an Islamic revolutionary government in Iran. And they're trying to get nuclear weapons. Again, why would they not use them? So I don't see an upside to allowing them to get nuclear weapons. Now, if we could keep them from getting nuclear weapons without going to war with them, and so far we have kept them from getting nuclear weapons, or our ally, Israel, has kept them from getting nuclear weapons. Stuxnet, whatever, the computer virus that Israel got into a bunch of their centrifuges and other things. If we can keep them from getting nuclear weapons and not go to war with them, I'm good. Okay? I don't have to go to war with Iran. Now, if somebody else, I don't know, like Iraq did, and which they did, and we supplied Iraq with a lot of intelligence and other support in their war against Iran. So if we could somehow bring down the Iranian regime of the mullahs, it can still be dictator somebody or other, maybe even best at being a dictator somebody or other in Iran. But if we could do that, that would be good. But so I do have a problem. For as much as I don't want us to get into another war, I don't want to see Iran getting nuclear weapons. I don't have enough information on means to keep that from happening. What really can the U.S. do? I mean, the U.S., trust me, people, we all know the U.S. can keep Iran from getting nuclear weapons. Within 24 hours, the U.S. can arrange it so that there is nobody, literally nobody left alive in Iran. Because it doesn't take more than 24 hours for the missiles to get to Iran. And we could literally take everybody out. Okay, so when you think in those terms, you have to understand that the U.S. right now, I do believe, we can decide, we could do the German dream. Germany versus the whole world. Let's see who wins. We can do the U.S. versus the whole world, and we might be able to even stop all the incoming nuclear weapons, and we can kill everybody else on the planet. Or virtually all. I mean, it's one thing to saturate Iran with enough weapons to kill everybody. But we could take out all the major population centers on the planet and the major industrial centers on the planet and blah, 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 blah. And just America would be left, and a nice glowing earth, of radiation. Looks sort of like that, maybe, everywhere, we could do that. We don't want to do that. We restrain ourselves. Now, during the Cold War, we were worried about retaliation, but we're seeing both China and Russia's missiles are probably not up to strength. So, does that make America perfect or the good guys in every situation? No, I'm not saying that. But we're not out to destroy the world. But when some people sort of kind of say they are, that's where I have serious, serious concerns. So, I don't want the nuclear weapons to spread. Well, I'm going to go grab another Coke. I've been drinking one here, and we'll be back, and I'll make an episode or two after that. A nice superpower. Yes, I do think, Starstreak, we are a nice superpower. I know people get bombed by us once in a while, and those people aren't happy. Sometimes I think there's very good justification for our attacking certain nations. And sometimes maybe there's less justification. I get that. But, it's restraint on our part that keeps us from just nuking somebody. I mean, it really is. And I personally, I'm not suggesting we should do it. Not God, no. I'm just saying it's not a lack of capabilities. It's a lack of desire to do so. I mean, trust me, I've wanted to nuke a few countries in my life. And if I was president, I probably would have at certain points in history. you know, after 9/11 or something. Not the world, just a few countries here and there that would have gotten nukes. Afghanistan, for one. A few mushroom clouds over that would have gone up, you know. I see Arno woke up wanting to. I'm surprised he didn't say want to nuke Russia, but you know. All right. Well, let's get in and make some episodes. Well, I was really, really pissed off after 9/11, and with the government of Afghanistan supporting the Taliban, Herat would have been a mushroom cloud, and probably Kabul would have been a mushroom cloud. Yeah. Yeah. You know, not everywhere in Afghanistan, not all people, just a few mushroom clouds to go, yep, you flew in 4 big cruise missiles, 3 of them hit. Well, we'll send 4 cruise missiles with nukes back at you. That probably would have been a good enough lesson for most governments to not support people that would do things like that to us. But that's what probably would. I'm serious. That probably at the time would have been my response. Whether that would have been good for the world or not, I don't know. But that would have been my likely response. Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745, and we have defeated the Dutch. Okay, why is the Horse Division sitting there passive, and the other ones are moving forward? Well, let's move. Okay. Well, it's going to take a while for any. Okay, we've got. And these guys are coming. Okay, those will be the anti-counter invasion forces. We'll keep the rest moving against what's going on. It's always awake, and yes, Russia should be nuked, but it would be bad for the rest of us. Yeah. I might be okay here, so go ahead. Yes. Yes, well. Starstreak, if you guys don't know, he is now at the bottom of the world. So he thinks that any significant nuclear attack would not irradiate him. And he very well may be right. Okay. Armored Division. Punch into that big group of forces. You support the attack. But don't go ahead. That's partially just to block them from moving into Greece. Yes, Greece is now at war with us. Okay. Individual forward that way. Kingdom of Romania seems best. Arabia too. There. Okay. Move forward. Well, hey! Well, you see, that's the beauty of it, Starstreak. We were just talking about it. Things got nuked here in the live stream. And Starstreak, nuclear winter might screw us. But hey, that'll cure global warming problem. You know, hello everyone. Hey, if I didn't say this is Gamer here, I don't know. We've been chatting about things. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Global warming, if you really want to cure it, is cheap and easy to do. Just set off a bunch of nuclear weapons. You don't even have to do it at populated areas. You can just, put up a bunch of ash up into, find some area, evacuate people, explode some bombs. You could even maybe do it a bit underground and put up a bunch of ash up into the sky, and we'll have winter for years to come. It solves, it solves global warming thing. Europe can be put under a a sheet of ice again and have an ice age in Europe. So hey, I'm going to ignore that because I'm live on the air and call them back. I know what's going on there. So yeah, if global warming ever really becomes a problem, we can solve it. Oh, go away. I'll call you back. I know what you're... Thought this might happen. I'm sure you guys may have heard the phone go off. Those will be some rear area. Oh, yeah, so, push across. You guys move down, you guys move into there. This attack is actually doing some good. We want to move you forward. Go straight down south that way. You guys can move that way. With the armored mobile forces that way. Get them going. Push in. Wait, straight. There, these guys go here. Armored spearhead, great. Okay. So, what other tech did we? Armored spearhead is down here. Okay, so, that was this one. We could get that 2 years ahead, but we have a bonus, so, okay. That's very good. Yeah, let's do this one then. And we have enough to spend the extra on research. And we still have back up here some more infantry and artillery type text we can research. Super heavy rockets, anti-air. Let's do radios. They're in good shape now, so let's attack again there. They're in okay shape. Well, you come across, so you're gonna attack this way this time. I died in hospital. Bye-bye, Trotsky. Okay, armored forces have made it through and around. Well, move you up that way. Some attacks are just meant to be spoiling attacks. Others are meant to actually succeed in their goals. But even just pinning is useful. And you see we can break through here. And we can push up. That. Hello, TikTok Tal, how you doing? Soviets better? Well, we're not at war with the Soviets yet. We're still just pushing through the Low Countries here into France. Well, now we're bashing head on into these guys, but let's Oh, we found the British. Okay, so we pushed into here. You guys come up to here. You guys come up to here. Pop, pop, whoop. So, research finished, storage. Go ahead with the deal. Yeah, let's see. We gain Soviet raw materials, factory output, dockyard output, tungsten output, steel output, alloys, grants, investment. Yep, we'll go ahead with the deal. Well, let's do that. Oh, wow, we've got a bunch more in because we've got the Netherlands and what. What do we need? Well, we could do some more assault guns, trucks. Garrison equipment, heavy artillery, medium artillery. Okay, so we'll do an extra assault gun production here. Get some produced. We'll do the last 3 on trucks here. The bane of life, garrison equipment. No, artillery. Medium guns. Heavy guns. And for good measure, let's increase aircraft production. Yes, we would love to get to the coast or otherwise surround all of these forces here. That looks like we've sort of kind of done that. We're good. To there, they pushed us back. There, we'll fly. Mm. Support the attack there. You push up there, you come up to there. You guys come to there. You support that attack. You advance that. Fuel storage, yes. Chemical industry too. Very good. So we got that, which will give us more fuel storage capacity. This will. No, we're using up slowly, but we're using up our fuel. So this will add for production in Lower Austria of oil, and add a synthetic refinery in Lower Austria and a synthetic refinery in Carinthia Styria, which is also in Austria. Yeah, 56. Well, do we want to establish the Gestapo? Zone here. Let's do the Gestapo. Let's have the Gestapo. We're getting to where we're occupying a lot more territory, so that will help us better. More for less. Fuel storage. Yeah. More. So we just looked at this. We're slowly trying to creep up on. Interceptors. We're not producing any interceptors. These old things? Yeah. Don't think I care to produce any of those. We're using heavy fighters as. Produce more recruits. Okay, so 3 Panzer divisions. So we're just north of Paris here. Looking around. Now, we have not been using any bombers in the attack, and that has been a deliberate idea, or I haven't done it because I don't have a lot of extra fighters, and I don't want to put my bombers up and have them all shot down. So, These are, you know, mostly old, out-of-date stuff, and I think I'm going to continue doing that. We seem to be winning without that.
Angetreten. Ausrücken.
Tunisia has capitulated. Well, the war's won, guys. Tunisia capitulated. This in here is a massive, mostly Belgian, but some French divisions that we've trapped. Here, let's, you guys attack there. Let's send you to there. And you support that attack. That way we can cut off these British forces up north. Also send armored units that way. We can get that one province. We cut off a whole lot. You guys all again attack into Dunkirk. There we go. There we go. Got all that cut off. We can keep them from escaping. Oh, well, whatever. Just a single division there. Counterattack there. Where not do that. Okay, well, we can see that they've moved much of their forces other places to deal with us, so we'll now push there as well. You guys support that attack. Support. Two of you attack. There we go, into Metz. Okay, where are we? Okay, we're facing. Is a naval invasion there gonna happen? I don't know. Well, let's move these two divisions over to here. Belgium has capitulated. Well, we got 288 trucks. We needed the trucks. 4,800 uniforms and a bunch of other stuff. So that is extremely useful. Let's take out these French. Up. Here, attack there. You guys move into Dunkirk, you move in there.
Angetreten. Ausrücken.
Vacuum sealed food. I really do like, you know, we sort of take a lot of this for granted nowadays, but I really don't know the history behind doing this in World War II, but I'm sure that would help preserve lots of food, so our ration decay factor is 10% less. And, well, garrison. You push into Lille, you push into Lille. Alright, you guys come down that way. That way. Establishing the Gestapo. Yes! We confirm we are the evil ones. Hey, amazing! Oh, the Tour de France. Good for bicycle crash-ups, yes. German-Slovak treaty, sure, we'll do that for days. Okay, we're crushing this up in the north here. Well, Metz may not fall, but let's attack into Nancy with support from these two divisions. Czech Republic, yeah, okay, fine. Well, hopefully this is a more successful Dunkirk, if you will. On the German side. Okay, now we are north and outside Paris. Let's send in these two armor divisions. Oh, no. Okay. Right. A little bit more Slovakia. They didn't need the territory anyways. What would they do with it? Get some Austrian oil coming in. Signal Company 2, very good. That went fast. That was that one. We are pushing hard. Well, we really have pushed in pretty deep here. Now, of course, we're in winter now, but we started much later than historical. And my big question is, what am I doing about the Soviet Union? I just don't know at this point. Okay, so yes, they have completely crushed the so we did do a cutoff. they're pushing north. Let's push with these infantry divisions there like that. Ship workshops, very nice, very nice. Artillery box now. Okay, all those divisions pushing right on Paris. Okay, we just got improved tank radios, which will maybe unlock. Stability, but output increase. Okay, we can't do that just yet. Oh, we're doing this one first. Right, okay. Supply range plus 3%. That's very good. That'll increase the range from the supply depots. What unassigned refineries do we have? Well, yeah, but looking up here, I think we're doing okay right now. Improving the calculator or computer or however you want to say it. This one. Will improve medicine. So if you can tell what I'm trying to do, I'm pushing out around the flanks here, which is drawing some troops. Have been pushing a bit along the river here, which again is also drawing some troops in away and pushing directly at Paris as well. So here. Them pushing there. Yes. We will have Romania join the Axis. In World War II, Romania is such a sad country. Oh, bah. Wanted to be on the western side of things, but couldn't. Soviets and others took land and things away from them.
Angetreten. Angetreten.
Oh, just what we need. Romania. I wish only the head of factions could call nations into the war. But I'd rather have some of them be... I think we'll wait till next year and just let everything build up for that. The fall of Paris. Nice. Perfect. Okay. Joint industrial policy with communist China, though, right? We being invaded somewhere, maybe? Don't know. And I have been... Okay, you need to move up to the port. We have been leaving some troops behind to watch our rear. We don't need all 4 there.
Ausrücken. Angetreten. Achtung. Ausrücken. Befehle. Ausrücken. Angetreten.
Support that. 80 deep. Let's push. Oh shit. No. See, no, I thought I... No, you're supposed to be supporting that attack. Thought I clicked on these guys.
Bereit. Ausrücken. Ausrücken. Achtung. Befehle.
Signals intel. Very good. We're waiting for the... Okay, signals intel. What? Yeah, I think we'll just wait a few more days.
Achtung. Angetreten. Ausrücken. Ausrücken. Achtung.
Okay, well, you know, I think we've gotten deep enough, and I want to keep these episodes somewhat shorter. So I want to thank everyone who've made it this far. If you have, can you please lick the like button? And of course, if you're new around here, I hope you'll decide to subscribe. And of course, I'd love to hear your comments, so please post them below. Thanks, everyone. See you next time for more, yes, more Hearts of Iron. All right, let's make another save, and then we'll make another episode here. All right. Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745, and you know what we do here? We play historical games, talk about history. You get to see me do well, do poorly. We'll see how this goes. Love hearing your comments, so please post them below. Yes, hello, Wayne Rumble. Liking the series? Well, thank you so much. Do appreciate that. I really do love that. You know, you guys enjoy this. I am quite honestly still surprised that people want to hear me blather about history while playing games, but I love playing them. So, all right. So we pushed in like this. Let's keep you moving along. You attack there. Don't give them any rest. You attack there, and you support the attack. I know Panzer's supposed to be rushing, but I think you move that way a bit. You move that way, so we keep him wheeling around. Well, we push deep into here. One of these divisions can support that attack. We'll cut deep. You support that. New fighters, very good. Yeah, we're waiting. We're just letting all this sort of build up in anticipation of the new year coming very fast. The Marines have advanced, that's nice. Oh, this attack stalled out. Well, armor, motorized infantry. Armor, put that into that armor. How are my casualties to date? I normally don't check these things, so when people ask me, I sort of have to poke around a bit. Current wars. Okay. German, British. Not sure where we. Yeah. I know some of you people just know these things because you looked them up. I quite honestly never looked these things up on my own. So if someone could tell me where I'm supposed to look them up, I would gladly do so. I know it shows us a lot of ignorance, but yeah, it's just something I look at more success on the battlefield than casualty numbers. But I gladly show them. You guys go into Orleans. You guys put to there.
Achtung!
Best spot is the center of the screen. Exposing shell icon. Okay, here we are at what? Okay, yes. So we've had, our casualties access there, Britain, Poland, so 240,000. France alone, 500,000. United Kingdom, 200. So we've had about the same casualties as the United Kingdom has. So now Kingdom of Italy have had a lot because they've been fighting in here. We can see the British have, oh, I hadn't noticed this until just now. The British have done and we just had a crash. Oh boy. We just had a crash. Okay, we're going to restart that. Something going in and looking at that caused a crash. So we're going to go back to the last save we have. You should be seeing the starting screen here. No, it's black. It's scary. It's scary. Oh, you should have color by now. All right. Single player, we're going to load up here. Okay, back at the start of the thing. Okay. We're going to go down and look at the bottom and see if it crashes again. Does this see if it's something that we always look at it and it crashes, or could be a bad image or something? Image resource not showing up. All right. Well, or it could just be how it was going. I don't know. Oh, yep. Okay, so, gamer, do not go and look at North Africa, or we will have a crash of some sort. So yeah, we're not going to zoom in there. Yeah, that's a good, JC, that's a good idea. I think mine is monthly save. I think that's a graphical problem. It's trying to display something and the asset is either effed up somehow or not there. Or I don't know. Oh boy. Oh, I sort of have another sort of save there. Okay, so we're not going to go do that again, but I'm not sure if it's going to be a permanent thingy or something that'll go away in a while. I don't know. All right, well.
Bereit! Angetreten! Befehle!
Oh, we're back. Yeah, it's... I don't know what it is, but like I say, it's because it's when we go look at something, it's got to be a graphical element that's going, oh, hey, this something about it is effed up. Either it's looking for it, it can't find it, or
Angetreten!
when it does find it, it displays it somehow, or some reason it crashes things. There's currently empty parts. No, you guys go out. No, there's 2 Panzer divisions. The other two will come that way. You support that attack, and use attack there to actually support the other one so that it's hitting from multiple locations. Oh, we are pushing hard. Artillery workshops, and we're almost to the next year, so we are. You support that attack. I'm going to start doing a bunch of research again, just waiting for it. It's actually more efficient. So long, and it may or may not be the case in all of these, but so long as this bar on a blank one doesn't get fully across, it's actually more efficient to wait until the year date happens, if we're looking at a 41 technology that we're talking about, but which may not always be the case, but might be the case. At least a few of them, and I haven't expanded Austrian oil. Okay, that will help my oil consumption, but we're going to be done in a few days here. Okay, oh yeah, get this cleaned up. Another graphical bug here, but one easily fixed. Okay, well, synthetic fuel production, we can do 2 more of those, which will use up some of the power there. We can do some more synthetic rubber, which will help us out. Right, that helps out the fuel. Okay, that is changing that heavily. Now we're using a lot of fuel. Do we have a submarine type? But no. Don't think we have another. Oh, we could do some of these guys. Oh, now. The reason I haven't done this is I'm just building aircraft here, and it's going to disrupt a bit. And, well, yeah. Because I want more bombers, but I need better fighters too. So we're going to do that. Now that is not making these obsolete. Okay, so wondering now. Okay, so this is. Do we have? I think it's the F in production now here. Panzer III. We're going to see how they're. Oh, we have the A in production way back here. What is this? This is a medium tank. This is also a medium tank. So let's jump to the J. Here. And for Panzer IV, this is a medium support. Let's go to the D. Big hit, but now those are the older 35Ts. You know, let's move the 35Ts into, these are also cavalry tanks, I think. Yeah. So that meaning they'll fill the same roles in the division. So let's do that while we're keeping the 38Ts in a completely efficient, the ones we're already producing there. There we go. We have something more now. We want to attack up to there. Use support that attack. Moving our mobile forces out that way. Well, one guy will stay there. That division can continue to have a break, a holiday in Paris. Oh, well, now that we're doing the F half. Yeah, should have waited for the F chassis. Let's come here and do this instead of the D. We should have just gone straight to the F. That would have been better, but we'll do that now. Oh, keep forgetting. I want this to go away. Pounds. Yeah, I should have done that better. If you're playing more carefully than I am, you should watch for those things. So let's just go to the F. There we go. They're retreating out to Jersey. Fine. Japan demands French Indochina, but France hasn't even fallen yet. What are you doing demanding things?
Bereit. Angetreten. Befehle.
Yeah, Bulgaria, trade relations, trade mission, good. Okay, tactical withdrawal. Well, for the air, the situation is this. I don't have a lot of fighters, so I am not contesting the air over their territory, and that we're taking, and because we're not putting any fighters over there, I've not been using any bombers. I've just decided not to have them all shot up. This may be not a good strategy in that I might be able to do better over here, but I don't know. It seems to be winning without a lot of effort from the air, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Treten.
Really drops the mask. Okay, yeah, we'll accept Italian, German. You got pushed back out.
Achtung.
You go there. You
Angetreten.
attack that way.
Befehle.
You support that attack.
Bereit.
Just attacking their mass.
Achtung.
Sometimes you want to attack them where they ain't. Other times you want to attack them where they are. Depends on the state of their forces, and the state of yours, and the state of flow of the battle.
Angetreten.
How about unit start? Okay, well now we are in January 1941. Okay, let's do some that have limited selection. We don't have lots of choices. We can do this now. I was hoping to get that done. Oh, the flak. Okay, well, all right. Well, let's do this if nothing else. There we go with that. This needs to be here, so let's find something here to research. I mean, there's a lot of good things to research, but okay, guilds and colleges. Okay, 10. Both rather good, so let's grab that one, I guess. Aircraft model. To do the multi-role, but I think we're going to do improved cast first. Now this is likely some doctrines here. Mobile warfare, that looks good. We'll do that. We have maxed out there, so we will spend 100 to get that going faster. We can now do another fighter here, or another aircraft maybe. Yeah, let's do. More fuel usage. IC costs more. Greater range. Better air attack. Naval targeting. Yeah, it's a little better. So we will research that. What do we want to do? Oh, we could do early optic craft. That'd be nice. Now I have a universal one at the top. We have this one with two variable or two screens to look at. Antibiotics. That was a massive help for the Allies. They had rather good antibiotics. Okay, fuel gain from refineries. Coal input heavily up. Fuel gain for oil and refineries 15%, 209 days. Mineral extraction factors. Heliarc welding. Yeah, Germans are some of the better welding. Let's do that one. Combination of just 109 days and more fuel faster. How do we have? Oh, and the universal one at the top, I think this. Yep, we'll do that. There's our days. Let's see, we have now a lot here that we can produce. Okay, well, we've also there we go, get that going. And we are used up all of our grace period. So what while I was focusing on Western knowledge, control pair, which grants research speed 6%, 21 days. Yeah, we'll do that. And we got a bunch. Well, or uniforms doing? Okay, 60,000 uniforms. Yep, 5 more trucks. Factory lines, or whatever you want to call them. Up for artillery. Those are the big ones I was thinking of that we have. Assault guns. We could do another assault gun. Must be up. Must be up. Where's assault guns? Did I just go by them and blank on it? Probably. Yeah, we'll do a second one of tracks. You drive to Brest, basically. Well, the French Republic has capitulated. We get 2,300 trucks. Yes, they did capture a lot of French trucks. 89 trains. That's one thing I have not been paying too much attention to. Which is logistics, heavy trucks, trains. Okay, so we need 358 currently, and we have 450, so we have about 100 more. I guess I don't know if that counts that, but and horse transport 4,000, very, very nice, and a lot of other equipment. So I don't know if we need to go down and deal with these British, because the treaty's probably going to come in for setting up Vichy. No, national spirit, which grants fighter cost down 15%. I don't know if we want to do that. Triumph in Paris, yes. We will do that. Establish. VC. Hello, Holiday Punch. How you doing? Been focused a bit on it. Okay. I'm going to do the most illegal Germany and ally with Soviet. Well, Germany and Soviet Union were allied for about a year or so. They were allied from, what, about September 39 to, what was it, June or so of 1941? Okay. You can select 2 by or more panels by holding down Shift as you. Okay, cool, interesting. Yes, well, okay. How do I put this? Well, first, let's save this in case we have another crash if I look in the wrong area. Oh, no, not load. Save. I'm not going to go look at North Africa right now. We may test that out some more. I do think it took a little bit long to take Poland, but there is not a good reason to start the war in 39, in fall 39, and then wait till late spring, early summer 1940 and attack France. Germany cannot effectively do a 2-front offense at that time, but it needs really no more, I would say, than 35, 45 days to shift the divisions from the east to the west, particularly the motorized divisions. Put them on trains, get them west. So these, in my opinion, rather artificial delays of like around Maginot, like a solution for Danzig and Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact. And I've talked about this before, and I'll talk about it again now. It's one thing if you go national vote, I get the term, and Johann, when he was asked about this, can you do more than one national focus? And no, a national focus, only one is you're focusing the nation on like one project or something. Okay, I sort of kind of get that, like doing the space race. We're going to build, spaceships and go to the moon and whatnot. So you building something like the West Wall, I sort of kind of get it. But I have, there was a handful of people involved in from the German side, the Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact. I don't know how that would disrupt. Now, I know some of these, is sort of treaty with the USSR that helps research German armor and whatnot, but I don't know how that limits some of these other research things. So I'm not against the idea of this tree and this concept, but, and I'm not saying these things should be free, because we can look at some of these and I would still, maybe have these costs some because, okay, 14 days isn't very much time, but, go, okay, well, hey, for 30 days, 90 days, I don't know, take a certain number of factories off, whether mill factories or sieve factories or both, minus that for a short period of time from the overall amount. So that these things are not just free. And I get the idea of can't do everything, can't choose, sometimes mutually exclusive, but other times. So I get the idea of some of this stuff, but so I just think some of these delays are a little overdone, where I like the idea of historical conditions, including dates, be the main factor. So you can't rush this out in 1938 or something, way too early. So we should have been attacking earlier in spring in 1940, but because of some of the structure and, yes, some of the choices I made, it delayed the attack into Poland. And with some of these things, I would move over to here. Still maybe require a national focus to start the path going, but I would do that. And you should be able to, because I've done it in Hearts of Iron 3 Black Ice, you should be able to start the war with a reasonably good German army in 1940, take Poland, take France, and then slam down into Yugoslavia, take it out, and help take out Greece, and get all of that done, and this part done sort of winter 1940. And then you would have 1941 as your choice. Oh, and also take out Norway and Denmark in 1940. And then 41 is your choice year. Do you secure the Mediterranean, or do you go after the Soviet Union? And that's where you look at it. If you can effectively, doesn't mean completely, but if you can effectively knock out the Soviet Union in 41, you're going to do okay. That doesn't mean that there still isn't some fighting, but if you've like taken Moscow and Leningrad and you're holding solid out here, you can be okay and have enough forces free to deal with the Americans as they come in 1942. If you can take the Mediterranean and get this territory of some sort of puppet status in which you can put some German units sitting in Morocco, some German units sitting in, Algeria, and controlling sort of Suez and controlling everything inside of here. Then you should be okay, and I would also say historically, you should be okay at fending off the Americans, because it's going to be very hard early on for the Americans to do a significant invasion in North Africa. And if you've got a Panzer Armee Africa sitting down there, and you also have enough control, you've taken out Gibraltar, you have enough control of the Mediterranean, that if there's a fleet coming through here, you've got an Italian submarines could, if organized well enough, come here, could sit out here and have to battle through the submarines and a bunch of air attacks. It's going to be costly. And the only reason the Americans, with the British help, including British landings, did so well down here is because there was nothing here. I mean, the French were here, certainly. But otherwise, there was nothing there. But if there was, some Italian and some Luftwaffe air units and air bases set up to rapidly, just literally get in your airplanes and fly down here, and then, with no bombs, but have bombs and fuel waiting down here. So, rapidly. And the Luftwaffe did that at times. Okay, folks. And I can't immediately sort of list them off, but periodically they would, shift in from the west, whether it's from the Mediterranean or the west, to an air offensive in the east, or vice versa. So they can shift the squadrons around fairly easy if there's infrastructure there and ready to show up. Not pissed off Frenchmen that that are controlling some air base that the Luftwaffe shows up in. They've got to have their own control. And so if you're doing that, then you're doing all right. Oh, this is Vichy France now. Okay, that's why they're there. And if you're doing that, you're doing okay. Oh, I'm not sure why this happened. Oh, we weren't supposed to look down there. I'm like, oh well, maybe not crashing the game now, but we won't zoom in any further. So I feel like the German-Soviet alliance should not be possible without the Nazi government being overthrown. Well, there was a German-Soviet alliance during World War II. The Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact and successive commercial agreements and other agreements were going on. There was absolutely an alliance. They jointly invaded Poland. They did a mutual victory parade in Brest-Litovsk, in which there was German and Soviet commanders on the reviewing stand and Soviet and German tanks and other vehicles driving by. Well, all smiling, too. They were all smiling and happy, friendly. And the French Communist Party was allowed to continue, after taking France, allowed to continue publishing their newspaper and continuing the French Communist Party activities. So, and this is a lot of people out there, oh, I don't know if it was Tooze or somebody, one of the authors on the economy, was asked, in some sort of, question and answer session after a presentation of talking about some of the economy during World War II. Someone was asked, well, what if the Germans, blah, 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 didn't slave labor, blah, 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 whatever? And the answer is, what could the Germans have won the war with more production or something like that? And so the answer sort of was, you mean if the Nazis weren't Nazis, could they have done things different? Well, yeah, but they were Nazis, so they're going to Nazi. Nazis are going to Nazi. And that's just the way it is. there is nothing saying that Germany must attack, and there's nothing in Hitler's core being that Germany has to attack the Soviet Union in 1941. It gets back earlier of what I was talking about, and I don't know if you were around, ZZ, was, hey, the war against Britain wasn't going so well because it was a naval war and it was an air war. And Britain was getting the upper hand on both of those well enough. And instead of, and Churchill wasn't willing to negotiate, Hitler was. But instead of being able to negotiate, or instead of shifting more production, and they could have shifted more, I can't tell you how much looking at it. And the reason I know they could have shifted more production is because they actually reduced wartime production from 1940 to 1941 to the start of the invasion of the Soviet Union. There is significant reduction in production, partially to give the German civilian population more goodies, more consumer goods. Partially, it's like, oh, hey, these Panzer III tanks with that 37 millimeter gun, that ain't going to be very good. Hey, those Panzer IVs with the short, 75 millimeter gun, that ain't going to be so good. We really don't need more Panzer Is, do we? No, so shut that down. There was, and then, well, for the next war, let's, and Hitler and the upper level Nazis, they had yet to decide that 41 they were going after the Soviet Union. It's a process, But even once it's sort of decided that you're going to do Barbarossa, they're still not telling people. Because if you tell people, the secret's going to get out. And the secret does get out, but it's not believed by Stalin. But it's only like from one source. So you don't tell everybody that, hey, there's a new major war coming. They sort of kind of think that things are winding down and we're going to have to deal with the Britain and it's going to take a while. But I am sure that you could shift resources, because one of the things that Germany does have a bottleneck is on steel. And so allocations of steel. You could have shifted to do more aircraft production, more submarine production. Now, I'm not saying, I believe that in especially, because Germany starts the war with peacetime production levels. And it's not really until Speer comes involved in 42 that you really get the Totaler Krieg, the idea of having an aircraft factory run 24/7. And I don't know all the details, and it varies, I'm sure, from factory to factory. But it takes them a while to get those factories going. Where America, very early on, once the war starts in, basically in the beginning of 42, America, and you can look at the propaganda movies that as well as just other Hollywood's movies, that America really, the wartime factories really just start gearing up. They start the idea that, hey, we build tanks, or we build aircraft, or we build wheels for tanks in this factory, or whatever it is. And they really start at figuring out how to get that factory working 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which means hiring and training more people. So without any more floor space, needing new buildings, without needing any more machining tools, they can go from roughly in America, roughly an 8-hour workday into, I don't know effectively, because you have shift changeover, so it's not really 24 hours, but it's probably more like 20 hours of actual effective production going on. And they're also working at getting resource production like steel somewhere out here, in like Kansas or Missouri or somewhere, Nebraska, I forget where. I think it's Alcoa, builds an aluminum factory. And they plan, I mean, it takes a while. I think this is like 43 that it gets working. For sure by 44. Because I watched some documentaries on it, but I'm pretty sure it's by 44 it's already working. But I think it's working in 43. It's a massive aluminum plant that can roll a single piece of aluminum rolling back and forth, so it's longer than this, for a mile long. Okay, because you get it in ingots, and then you have to, you want to roll it out thin to make, the outside coating for aircraft or something thin. And so that's almost 2 kilometers for you Europeans that they have a little line of machinery out. I know I'm much more than 2 kilometers here, but they have a factory line that has at least one aluminum rolling thing that's over a mile long, so that you take an ingot and you just roll this thing out. I don't think there's anything like that anywhere in Europe. I could be wrong. I know there's a lot of aluminum production going on in Germany and other places. And they're starting to plan this very early on. They're planning allocations of resources, and you can't just turn a factory in one day from, 8 hours a day to, 20 or more hours a day. But you don't even want to do that, turn it on that fast as well, because you're not going to have enough stuff, for your factory, supplies, metal or wood or electricity, because the electric power plants aren't set up to produce that much electricity. And so they're building all of this stuff as the war is going on, and they're planning it, and they're getting it. America is set. I think they do. It's like 10,000, if I remember. So I saved the picture of the 10,000th B-17 bomber. 10,000 B-17 bombers at some stage in the war. And the war is still going on, and I think they're still making B-17 bombers. Does Germany make 10,000 of any one aircraft? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know they make thousands of aircraft, and of the different models, but 10,000. So Germany, again, is not doing this. They're not setting up to do this. They think they're going into a limited war in Poland. Oops, Britain and France come into it. Hitler is afraid of a revolt of Germans because he's afraid, and everyone there is afraid of another World War I and the deaths, the senseless deaths in the trenches and all that stuff. So he does not want to. His regime is not really secure until the fall of France. And you can see it used to be on YouTube. I don't know if it's still there. And I only first saw it watching it on YouTube, is the victory parade in Berlin. All of the people that are swarming this parade, and they're literally swarming the parade. They're not just standing back and watching it like they a lot of times do. And it is such a celebration. It isn't until that moment, in my opinion, Hitler's regime is secure. And obviously there are still various threats and assassination attempts, and then the whole Stauffenberg, a revolt attempt. Because Stauffenberg, yes, he's famous for planting the bomb to try to kill Hitler, but there's the whole home army uprising that they've coordinated and all that stuff that falls apart when it's found that Hitler's alive. And it shows that just Hitler being alive backs this down. And we're seeing Germany being destroyed. And so you look at this, and I'm sort of I say reading, but I'm listening to an audiobook on Speer, and I haven't for a few weeks, but it's sort of when I'm traveling around listening to it, and it's somebody's going through the biography of Speer, and so it's because I've read Speer's book and some other stuff on Speer before, and I've talked about Speer's talents, and he is a talented person. It isn't that he's the smartest or greatest production person. It's a lot of times that I talk about, it's that he is close to Hitler, so he has a lot of power. Now it fades at the end because he's no longer close to Hitler, but when he's there, and that's why he gets things done that others can't get done. Todt would not have gotten stuff done as well. And so the Germans just aren't that efficient at wartime production, and they're getting it going. And so looking at this, we can easily see that they could have shifted production. They could have done more production and fought the British and maintained enough divisions staring at the Soviet Union to keep the Soviet Union from wanting to attack. And they could have secured the Mediterranean well enough that I don't think the Allies, for a few years, and then would they have the political and military will, I don't know, to be able to push through that. Probably they would, but without taking nuclear weapons off the table, and I know obviously at the end they were there, but taking those off the table, if you can defeat the Soviet Union, Germany is strong enough to sort of have the interior lines. If you understand about interior lines and exterior lines, interior lines is like, having, forces here, rushing them here, then rushing them down here, and then rushing them up to here. That's interior lines. The Allies have exterior lines, meaning they have to ship them all around. And so does the Soviet Union have, in essence, exterior lines. And that's sort of dealing with their railroad geography. And I would, say so. But exterior lines, when you're a naval power and becoming an uncontested naval power, can also be very, very great. So, but Germany would be strong enough in the idea that you're strong enough to put enough air power over and enough divisions to deal with any invasion. And you'd really have to be able to do 2 or 3 invasions at once, 2 or 3 D-days at once, if you're no longer fighting inside the Soviet Union. You just have minimal occupation troops kind of thing. I think Germany could hold out against even how great the U.S. invasion capability was. At least that's my analysis. And I could be wrong. I'm sure I could be wrong. But hey, I want to thank you all for making it this far into it. Really do appreciate that. I should also thank Tim, Strongarm, Niagro, Timothy, Sir Toyjet, Gary, Garrett, Marcus, Folk. Some of them have been in chat today. And of course, the great Hoffmanator for support over on Patreon. But everybody else, hey, just click the like button, subscribe if you're new, and post a comment. It's really helpful. That's all I ask of people. So I hope it has been fun. See y'all next time for more Hearts of Iron. I know I just saved this, but we're going to save it again. And I think we're going to end for today. It has been fun. We will be back tomorrow with some War Thunder. Hopefully you'll either come and watch or actually join and play with us. I would love that. And then I'll be back next weekend. So I want to thank ZZ, Wayne, JC, TikTok Tal, Arno, Beam Slam, Starstreak. Who else has been around? Folk. Kronos, thank you all for hanging out with me today. I really do appreciate it. Sun, if you're still around. Juan, if you're still around, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. Like I say, see you tomorrow, next week, some other time. See you guys.